Hello everyone, today we are going to be diving into the topic of poverty and crime rates. This worldwide issue will be explored through the lens of social science. Our big question today is, why do societies in poverty often have higher crime rates than those in higher income societies? Before diving in, let's take a look at one statistic. So according to the Toronto Security Company, crime is 1.5 times greater in low-income households than in high-income. Now, let's think. What are the causes of this? What are some factors that may contribute to this? Well, we're going to dive into this right now. Let's first understand the meaning of these key terms. What is poverty? What is crime? So poverty is known as a society that has a lack of resources, often seen in terms of income, education, access to basic needs like food, water, and shelter. Crime, on the other hand, is actions that lead to the violations of classified norms in governmental laws or cultural laws. Now, let's take a look at the social disorganizations theory. This theory explains the relationship between different tiers of crime and the factors like structure and culture that can be affected. For instance, societies that have higher poverty rates tend to have weaker social structures. This leads to an increase in crime rate. A lack of resources can disrupt social structures within a community. Now, let's take a look at opportunity. Places of higher income rates tend to have more access to safer communities, homes, jobs, education, and an overall better and healthier lifestyle. Individuals coming from a well-structured society tend to have their lives cut out for them. Now, in contrast to this, those who come from a low-income community don't get the same education, job, home opportunities that wealthier incomes may get. They don't have the same connections that other individuals have. Individuals trying to fight for their place in life often come from unstable homes. Unstable homes doesn't leave a good impression on kids. Little guardian support is another lack of opportunity that leads to higher crime rates. Poverty and unstable lifestyles can increase the motivation for crime, to obtain the life that they don't have. Now, in this week's lecture of crime and punishment, the term deviance was commonly used by our professor. Cultural deviance theory refers that some low-income societies tend to create subgroups with values and societal norms that accept or even internalize criminal behavior. Living in poverty may lead to deviant cultures. In deviance, there is a term called sanctions, which can be seen as formal sanctions, positive or negative, or informal sanctions, positive or negative. Now, let's take a look at sanctions. So to start off, let's look at formal sanctions. Positive formal sanctions. These are actions or rewards given by an individual, like a smile, a hug, a handshake, a pat on the back, or a congratulations on a good performance at your work. These actions are positively enforced. Negative formal sanctions. Now, these are fines or punishments given by authorities like police officers or governments due to an action that was against the norms or laws. This is done to discourage or deter a specific criminal behavior. A negative formal sanction may involve fines, prison time, or other legal punishments for criminal activities or a violation of rules. For example, a common one that we hear on commercials all the time is impaired driving. It can result in a loss of your license, prison time, fines, loss of your vehicle, and even a criminal record. Now moving on to informal sanctions. Positive informal sanctions are social acceptance or recognition for complying to social norms. Common examples of this are receiving compliments or recognition or even praise from family and friends for work or volunteering within your local community. This sanction is something that encourages positive behavior. Negative informal sanctions are disapproval for not conforming to societal norms. Common examples of this, commonly seen in high schools, are gossip, eye-rolling, or loss of reputation due to behaviors that are seen as unacceptable within a society. Now, commonly when we think of the term low income or high income, we think of economic factors. They play a big role in the difference between low income and high income communities and give opportunities and give opportunities. In low-income communities, high unemployment rates can push individuals to a more criminal lifestyle in order to survive. For example, robbing for food or even breaking into a place for shelter. Now, let's take a look at a peer-reviewed source. This peer-reviewed article is called The Local Area Crime and Energy Poverty by Awori, Churchill, and Smith R. This article states, in high-income countries, it is primarily an affordability issue, resulting from some combination of having low income, high expenditure on energy, and living in energy-inefficient buildings. Rates of energy poverty are typically higher in low-income neighborhoods, in which local area crime rates are also higher. Here, we match longitudinal data at the household level with local area crime rates to estimate the causal effect of local area crime on the probability of being in an energy poverty. Our baseline estimates suggest that the standard deviation increase in crime rate causes 4 to 5 increase in the likelihood of being in an energy poverty. Now, as explained in the opportunity theory, lack of education can push individuals into a cycle of poverty. For example, individuals raised in a family where they didn't have proper education can make it more susceptible to be in the same place as their parents. Lack of education leads to low-income jobs and can encourage those to participate in criminal behavior. Now, instead of looking at all the negatives between poverty and crime rates, why don't we look at a way of how can we fix this in our community? So how can we improve this? To show the community connection between poverty, homelessness, and crime, some policy interventions that can help change this in the community are improving education access in low-income communities, making jobs equal and more attainable, and also more infrastructure and homes to support those in need of one. Now, let's take a look at this next case study in peer-reviewed source that gives us a greater look at looking around the world. So this one is called The Nexus Between Crime Rates, Poverty, and Income Inequality, a case study of Indonesia. This article states, poverty is also positively associated with crime. The wider the poverty gap, a measure of poverty, and the severity index, the higher the deprivation levels among the poor, which lead to more crime. The significant and positive effect of poverty and crime rates, and the positive nexus between crime, income, and inequality suggests that Indonesia will face a higher crime risk as the country becomes more increasingly affluent. Now, in conclusion, the relationship between poverty and crime is commonly seen due to all the factors created by our government, lifestyle, access to education, and basic needs. These factors help us better understand why societies in poverty often have greater crime rates. Now let's prompt our thinking. So here's a Q&A session. What are some other factors that were not mentioned in the presentation that can show the link between poverty and crime rates? Discuss the role of the government. What are some ways other than mentioned in the presentation to address the issue of higher crime rates in communities in poverty? A next question, do you think peers have an influence on the lifestyle and pathway that we choose? If so, explain how this can increase the crime rates in communities that are in poverty. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you learned something new today. Please take the Q&A sessions and reflect and answer some questions on your own time. I hope you have a great rest of your day.